guys, welcome back to New Dram Drinker. This week we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a Q&A, which is a little bit different for us, to be honest, because we do a lot of events with our members club, the Certified Originals, where we're asking kind of people from the whiskey world, people who are of note within the whiskey world, a lot of questions over an hour and a half on our Q&As. And we thought, you know what, why don't we answer some questions for once?
So you probably need to answer this question because he started New Dram Drinker without me.
Yeah, I mean, I've answered this question a lot of times, so forgive me if I'm kind of retreading old ground.
I'll just have a drink. I'll just sit down.
But it all started really because we wanted to get into whiskey, didn't we? Well, I did, and you kind of came along a little bit after that, didn't you?
Yeah. Because I've said this before, she was the other woman in our marriage.
Yeah.
You got into it and I was left behind.
But I've had lots of hobbies and I've got lots of hobbies, and I always kind of go to YouTube to learn things about that hobby. And I went to YouTube to try and find channels to help me at the start of my journey. And I found a hell of a lot that could help me once I'd been on my journey a while, but not many that could help me at the start. No. I always felt like I was watching someone who was way more advanced than I was. Which
is quite overwhelming and intimidating when you first start.
So we thought, or I thought at the time, you know what? I'm kind of creative, so I thought, let's give it a go, let's try it. I didn't expect it to work, to be honest.
I think it was more of a documenting your journey to start with, wasn't it? A way of like, this is where I am now, and this is, you know, my journey, which it still is, to be fair. It's just that I've been
fundamentally, New Dram Drinker is the same now 2 years later as it was the day it started. It's you guys watching us talk about whiskies that we're trying on our journey of whiskey exploration. So nothing's changed in that respect, apart from that you're along for the ride now, and it's kind of going better than we ever could dream it would, our journey, and you guys watching us as well, the amount of you. So yeah,
but that's why it started.
That is why it started, really, just that we couldn't find a channel or channels that would help us at such an early stage in our journey. I think we both agree on this, to be honest, because it was one of the whiskies that really started the journey off for both of us. I think you agree, don't you? So do you want to tell them what it was?
Glenmorangie 10. Yeah,
it was definitely, if you know the story of why I originally got into whiskey more than I am now, that the Glenmorangie 10 was the one that started it all off. And
we'd never paid £40 for a whiskey before, ever. Like, I was just like, really, you're paying that much? Like, we'd only ever had like Jack Daniels in our teenage years, and I was like, £40 for a whiskey, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my days. How little did I know.
The long and short of that story is that I had 25 years of my work, and you get to pick a present for your kind of 25-year anniversary, and the bottle of Glenmorangie was on the list. So I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. And we both got to try it then, which is what started the journey.
So that will always have a place. I'm not saying it's my favourite whiskey, and I'm not saying it's one we always have on the shelf, but that's one that has a place in our heart.
It's the starting point, isn't it, of where we are. Without that, we wouldn't be where we are now. Yeah. So Glenmorangie 10, that's the one. So my three whiskies that I recommend myself are going to be the first three I ever had, because I think they put me in good stead for my journey, to be honest. I couldn't drink them all straight away, and it was a bit of a shock on some of them, but it did set me off on the right direction as to where I am now. So I would say to myself, have the three that I first started with. Those three would be Glenmorangie 10, as we've already said, Ardbeg 10, which was a stretch at the time. It was a big shock, but it still played a part in my peak journey because I did grow to love that whiskey. And the other one would be Highland Park 12, just again because it has its place, and at the start of your journey it draws a line in the sand of a different style of whiskey. And I think you can agree between the three there, you've got quite a distinct stepping stones of a journey of whiskey, haven't you, from Glenmorangie all the way to Ardbeg, and it's quite a broad trip, but they got me where I am now, so those are the three I would recommend myself.
I would recommend Glenmorangie 10 because that's where our journey started. I would not go Ardbeg 10. I still find that quite hard to drink, but I would pick Ardbeg Wee Beastie because she was my first peated, and just to let yourself know that I could get there, like that's a good thing. And then I'm probably going to pick a Glenglassaugh because that was my first sherry. So sweet, and that was almost one of the very first whiskies. There's a few, but in that period of time where I was like, oh my goodness, I can do this. I like this. Whiskey can taste like this.
Yeah.
So
it's a different style.
Yeah. And I think I just was like, oh, I can do this and I like it.
Yeah. This one's quite easy for me, to be honest. I don't know if you agree, but it's got to be the community that
100%.
surrounds the whisky world that we didn't even know existed when we started. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're probably a big part of the community as it is. But how does something like this exist that you don't even know about until you start drinking something? It's crazy, isn't it? That the friendship and the kind of just the generosity and everything of people is with their time as well as samples and things like that. It is a crazy, crazy world that we're in.
I can remember the first time somebody offered to send samples and Ant was like, is this legit? Is this weird? Is this, like, what is this? Like somebody from the other side of the world wants to send you samples. And then it does, and people send you coins or people want to mention you, give you a shout out. We've had people on our YouTube channel, we've been on other people's, and it is a lovely, lovely community.
Yeah, it is.
It is, yeah. And it wouldn't be the same journey if we were doing this on our own. Like,
No,
literally
not at all.
would not be the same.
Because that's what I thought it would be to start with. I thought every week it would be us doing a video, just talking into the camera. No connectivity really, it's just us talking, you listening, and that's it. But
we wouldn't have drunk half the whiskies we've got now without somebody saying, oh, try this, I'll send you a sample. Or just in the community, people going, oh, have you seen this is coming out? Oh, this is really cheap on offer. Or even, this is in Morrison's, try this one, it's a good one.
Or even disagreeing with our view on the YouTube channel, but it always comes with a positive of, might not necessarily agree with what you're saying, but try this. Because you might think that if you think this is good, try this. And even the negatives, we haven't had many negatives, but the ones that you have had, have always been a positive spin on it, haven't they?
And it's perfectly okay to have a difference of opinion. You've seen our videos. We don't have the same opinion all the time, but just all of the community, and that extends to like distilleries and brand ambassadors and just people we've met along the way that I would say are acquaintances now, like, or friends. It's good.
It's gone beyond just viewers.
Because we didn't know that actually existed at all.
No, at all.
I don't think there's such a thing as trash whiskey, because we've had some whiskies that we maybe... There is a really famous quote that says there's no bad whiskey, just some are better than others. Can't remember who it is. But there are whiskies that we would not choose to have as a dram because they're not to our liking, or quite often I can't drink them, but we would put them in a cocktail. So if you don't like cocktails, then yes, there probably are whiskies that you wouldn't choose to drink. But, we're quite happy to buy a litre bottle of whatever supermarket brand is on offer or something to put in our old fashions.
We've had many bottles of whiskey where we've tried them and thought, that's not really what we want.
I wouldn't reach for it,
I will always say that'll be good in a whiskey sour or a Boulevardier, or there's an old fashioned it'll belong in. There's not many whiskies, to be honest, that an old fashioned can't sort out. You put enough other things in there, it'll kind of level it out into a decent cocktail.
But I think because it's such a huge playing field and people are going to have difference of opinions, I would never say a whiskey was awful. I would say I didn't like it, or it wasn't to my preference. And I think we've always done that. So
there may be one that we try in the future that we think's goddamn awful. This one's quite an easy one to answer, to be honest, because
we're waiting.
We set up our members club right in the thick of COVID lockdown. So we did have one meet-up where we did Bimba tour, where we met up with about 15 different COs. So we've just been dying out. I mean, we've grown to about 200 members now, so we really want to sort out like a live get-together, person in person. So that is one of the first things we want to do. And of course, we do want to get over to France, to Germany, to see other people that we've connected with.
Sweden, Edinburgh. We want to do all the
distilleries. There's so many places. But first port of call, keep it close. A meet up around by us, Birmingham, London way. And just try and get as many COs together as possible for a big piss up, for a better word. But yeah, that's our first thing we want to do.
So you probably need to answer this, because I never would have started whiskey on my own. I joined in.
I suppose the short answer is I probably would have, yes, because originally I did set out on this journey on my own, didn't I? Because I never really thought Nick would drink whiskey to that level. We'd always drank whiskey at my mum and dad's house when we lived at home. My dad, we do a cocktail now called the Heirloom, and it's a cocktail that my dad used to make when we lived at home. It's just Jack Daniel's, orange cordial and ginger ale over ice. And it's a lovely summer drink, and Nick and I used to drink that, but taking it to that next level where you've got this amount of whiskies on the bar
and a dram,
and drinking them
straight,
I never thought I would get to that point, let alone Nick. So when I started the channel, I thought it would be a sole endeavour, to be honest.
Do you think you would have had as much fun?
No, definitely not.
Correct.
No, I wouldn't have had water splashed in my face and slapped in the face either, would I? So that would have been a different journey.
Answer.
And I don't know how long I would have kept it up for, to be honest, because it takes a hell of a lot of time. So the fact that we can do it together kind of levels that playing field, whereas if I was doing it on my own, it takes me a hell of a lot away from my family. So may not still be going now if I'd have done it on my own. So you've got her to thank for you still watching our videos now. So blame her.
You're welcome. If she can get her own way.
She'd be in every video if we let her, to be honest.
Do you know what's funny? You know, like when she sits at the table and stuff, like that's just her. Yeah. She is the most human dog I've ever met.
She's literally on the settee down
just
there.
Yeah. She just wants to be here with us.
Yeah, she had a haircut today, so she's a bit tired. But
it doesn't matter what we're doing. She just wants to be with us. So if we're sat at the dinner table, she just wants to sit at the dinner table. Like, not to beg, not to steal your food. She just literally sits at the dinner table. Yeah. So when we're sat here for hours recording videos, she literally just wants to sit on our laps.
To be honest, she wasn't the noisy dog out there too. Unfortunately, Missy passed away recently. But she was the noisy one, the scratcher, and kind of doing all these different groans and kind of barks and things all over.
But Lola's not noisy. She just likes the attention.
Lola's just chills out until she wants some limelight, and then she'll make herself known.
So who knows? Yeah. She might be in.
But she's camera shy as well. If you try and take a photo of her doing something silly, she'll look away or walk off. She knows when the camera's on her, and if she doesn't want to be on camera, she won't be. So when she comes in on camera, you know she wants to be.
That's all her choice. I am going to say this is one of those things I wish I'd have known really early on. Your opinion is completely okay. Like, I was so intimidated to start with. I said this to you before, and I would be like, what can I smell? What can I nose? What can I get? Oh, I can't get it. And I'd be reaching for the flavours, or I'd be looking at the distillery's notes going, I don't get chocolate. I can't get it. Actually, now I just think it's more fun to just sit back and go, oh, I think I'm getting this, or oh, I think I'm getting this. And I think really early on, me particularly, I was so intimidated or so worried about getting it wrong or looking stupid. Now I genuinely think, over the last 2 years, I just think you can't get it wrong. It's completely objective. I've told the story before. We did a tweet tasting once, and we all were nosing the same whiskey. There was probably 13 of us in a tweet tasting, and I wrote down everybody's note. And there were 55 different notes. 55 different nosing notes for one whiskey. You're not going to get it wrong, are you?
And I had the experience of a tasting the once where we tried. It was a live one before lockdown, and we were all tasting it, and I would get something, and I wouldn't say it because I'd be worried that it was wrong.
Yeah.
But then someone else would say it, and everyone would go, "Oh yeah, that's a good." And you think, "God damn it, I thought about that, but I just didn't say it because I didn't have the confidence to like to go with what I'd nosed or tasted.
And it's all about your vocabulary. So recently, not so recently, but a while ago, we'd nosed a whiskey or tasted a whiskey, and I said, "Oh, it's kind of tropical-ish." And like that, obviously, you're part of the Certified Originals. You know that's we've got
it's a t-shirt.
We've coined a phrase, and it's now a t-shirt. But what I meant was, it wasn't pineapple, it wasn't coconut, but it had that element. It was tropical-ish. And months later, some very lovely gentleman on YouTube, who has his own YouTube channel, said to me, "You know, when I first heard you say that, I just thought, what is that?" Then when I tasted it, he was like, "I get what you mean. I totally understood it. Whiskey Novice Gin." Oh, yeah. And he was just like, "Yeah, it is tropical-ish. I get it." Yeah. So just say it.
Just be yourself.
Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Let it out. Just go with what you're saying. Even if you say it and it's wrong, it's still right, because you might learn something from it. You know, there's nothing.
A lot of it comes down to your vocabulary. So early on, I would say sweet, but I couldn't pinpoint what type of sweetness. You get better at that. And do you know what? Sometimes it's okay just to drink a whiskey and not think about it, to just enjoy it and not have to analyse it. So.
Oh, we got told off for saying you could nose sweet.
Yeah, we did.
But that's a different story.
Ooh, good question. Good question.
Well, I think.
If I had to describe you as a whiskey, I would pick a sweet and peat, because it's my favourite thing at the moment.
Not sure where this is going.
And sometimes it's really sweet, and sometimes it's really intense.
I thought he was going to say dirty.
No, that would be a peated. Sweet, yeah. The sweetness softens the blow. But I just have to choose when I want it. I couldn't have it all the time. I'm probably going to go Compass Box Glasgow Blend. Because it's intense, but it's also sweet, and it is one of my faves.
Thank you very much.
You are one of my faves.
God, I've got to match that now, haven't I? I'm going to go Glenmorangie Cake.
Oh.
Because it's sweet. I love it. And it's got a great finish.
And a beautiful bottle.
And a beautiful bottle, yes. So there you go.
On that note. I think your goal was always to get me involved. I just think I didn't realise at the time.
I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because what I know now about the channel and everything involved with it, I didn't even dream existed then.
Like we said before, you literally thought you'd be doing it on your own, didn't you?
I thought I'd be doing it on my own. I'd be doing probably a video
once a month or
once
something.
A month maybe, and then maybe when just the mood took me. I didn't think 2 years later we'd have a members club, we'd have merchandise,
this many whiskies.
We'd have this many whiskies, an actual bar built in the the middle room. It's just evolved to such a degree over such a short amount of time that I don't even think I could have dreamt it would be what it is now.
What do you think your actual basic goal was? Just to make some videos and people would watch them? Did you ever figure
what I'm like? So everybody who knows me would not believe that I would do this. And I sometimes can't believe I even did this. So I can't even begin to start to understand myself what prompted me to do it. I know the reasons why I thought I should do it were, but doing it is a different thing.
I don't suppose when you're really new to a subject and you're documenting your journey, you won't allow yourself to dream big anyway, will you? It's like
I couldn't have even dreamt that we would be where we are now. That we would have the friends that we've made, the acquaintances that we've made, the connections that we've made.
Just the community
in general, because I didn't even know that was out there. No. Like I've said before, when I did the first video we ever did, or I ever did, was a live one, and I didn't think anyone would show up, and they did. And there's a lot of people in that chat that first day that are still here with us now, and I'm forever grateful to them for that. But I would never have thought it would be what it is now. So yeah, it's brilliant. So we thank you for that.
So my epiphany moment was, I can remember going to a whiskey bar in Birmingham, and it was really early on in my journey, and I was trying to get into whiskey by drinking whiskey cocktails, but I couldn't drink an old fashioned without soda water in it. I just literally could not. And we went to a whiskey bar, and I had an old fashioned with Basil Hayden's in it and no soda water, and it was absolutely delicious. And I remember thinking, I've arrived. I can do it. So that's my moment.
I knew I'd got her.
That was my moment. My epiphany whiskey, I could pick lots, I'm not going to lie. There's lots
You've had lots of
moments like that. You know, I could talk about the Wee Beastie where I did the little dance in the garden and, you know, all sorts. But my very first one was, we did a private tasting with Gregoire, and we were drinking Lot 40, which is rye whiskey. And I remember, you know, again, very unconfident with my notes and very intimidated by the whole thing. And I can remember tasting it and just getting this huge flavour of lychees. Like, you don't get lychees in whiskey at all. And it's quite a obscure flavour anyway. But it literally felt like I'd opened the can and bitten into a juicy, fresh lychee. And I remember saying it and Gregoire going, yes, that's what it is. And I was like, but
He'd been struggling to get this note, and Gregoire knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So when Gregoire tells you that you've got a note that even he was struggling to get,
but he got it, yeah.
You know you're onto something.
But I think more than that, I think because I remember at the time thinking, as if whiskey can taste like this. Like whiskey can taste like this. Yeah. This is not
a specific note.
This is not the fire, the spirit, the burn, the awfulness that I remember from like a teenager, like swigging bells or something. But I remember thinking, as if like it could be this pleasurable and you could get this many flavours and they would just like come. So that was a good day. Yeah.
You were quite chuffed, weren't you?
I was chuffed, yeah.
My epiphany whiskey we'll start with would be the Octomore 08.2 Masterclass, purely because it was a whiskey I'd put up there on a pedestal. It's expensive, which always ramps it up there for me.
It's a beast.
It's a beast. It's one that I would imagine most people who love peat whiskies will have tried or want to try. And I was just worried, to be honest. I was worried that, one, it wasn't going to live up to my expectations for the price and what I wanted it to be. And it did. I mean, I loved it. It. Don't get me wrong, it's not a whiskey I have every day, but I tried it, I loved it, and I felt like I'd reached a certain point on my journey that I was really happy to have reached, to be honest. I've had others since that are probably not quite as expensive, that are equally as good, but at the time it was a good place to be.
There's something about the accolade, isn't it, about the Octomore is known.
And I just love the bottle. I don't know if you can see it up there, but it's just a nice, everything about it, the bottle, the tube, the whiskey inside, it's just a really nice experience overall. My epiphany moment for the channel, I would say, was being invited to the Bimba when they released the first. We were invited to the kind of launch of that at the distillery, and it was nice being able to go, but it was more so the fact that New Dram Drinker was obviously a big enough thing to have been invited. I didn't see it as it was me invited. It was New Dram Drinker had been invited. Nicola could have come, but she was busy, so she couldn't make it. But it was New Dram Drinker as a channel that had been invited. And the fact that a distillery had recognised us, they were one of the first distilleries to say, you're enough of a thing to be bothered with. And I'll always be thankful to them for that. But that was probably the first epiphany moment of the channel, where it solidified the fact that New Dram Drinker was worthwhile a thing, if you know what I mean. So
good answer.
That's that, yeah. this is probably more of a question for you than it is for me,
Yeah.
because I'll drink anything. So the
Is there
quick answer for
anything-
that is no for me. But you might be a little bit
Yeah,
different.
and obviously you know that Pete is a journey I'm on. So I am not ready for something like Octomore. I've tried it recently. I think I had like a little touched my lips. But I'm not there. I'm at the sweet and peated and nicely peated. I'm quite open to the coastal, the maritime, the medicinal, but not Octomore. No,
Yeah.
I've tried it recently. And who knows, I might never get there.
You are getting there, because
Yeah.
you've got the single note here, which I think, don't know if you can see, I'll show you that now. You've got the single note, which is very, very close to the Octomore, and you can kind of stomach that
Yeah.
to a certain extent, but
Yeah.
I don't think you're far away. It's just that you wouldn't try it at the moment, would you, if you were given the choice?
I just can't see that it would be a whiskey at this moment in time that I would reach for to enjoy.
There's others
Of a
that you
dram,
prefer.
yes.
So
I think so. I'm not saying I'm scared. I just think it's a long
why
way
push
off.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, why push
Yeah,
the
it's a long
journey?
way off.
Just enjoy the journey.
So you need to answer this, because obviously, as we've said before, you started the channel without me. Like
Where do
catchphrase
I
and all.
begin with this one? This one hasn't got the kind of slick answer I want it to have, to be honest. It was, I know exactly where I came up with it from. I was sat at work, setting up. Anyone who knows New Dram Drinker before it actually became an actual channel on YouTube knows that I plugged it on social media for weeks, if not months, before. Coming soon, new whiskey channel. It was kind of the perfect fake it till you make it scenario. I was just like, the channel you won't want to miss, and I really did push it, and it's only basically because when I'm at work I have a fair bit of spare time, and I was just trying to build confidence in myself really to do it. So I thought the more I push it, the more I've got to do it. And one of the things that I read that you should have is kind of a slogan that everyone can kind of relate to, and it just goes with the brand. And I just sat there thinking, I don't know, my OCD kicks in, so I need something that rhymes, and it's got to, got to fit in and pour it. What do you do when you've poured it? You drink it, and then you should enjoy it, shouldn't you? And he was like, pour it, drink it, enjoy. Literally probably 5-10 minutes of me at work just sat there when I was kind of just brainstorming on my own, and that was it. Job done. Pour it, drink it, enjoy it. I don't even know where New Dram Drinker came, but that was pretty much exactly the same thing. Looking at different channels, and there's drams, and there's obviously we're new to it, and you're drinking it, so it's all the same process.
And I have no say in any of this, because as you will know, he did all this without me.
I was at work, probably on nights, so just trying to keep my brain going so I don't fall asleep and get into trouble. But it's just, I'd love to say there's some kind of real in-depth meaning to it, but no, it's just something to put to kind of have a slogan for the brand, and that was it, kind of thing. So
And
there's your
it's
answer.
stuck.
There's your,
And it's on
stuck,
t-shirts and all sorts, and like we're synonymous with pour it, drink it, enjoy
yeah.
it.
So it's on coins a lot.
It
So
is, yeah.
there you go. It obviously changes regularly. At the moment, we've got about 45. A lot of them are.
It's probably the lowest we've ever
A
been.
few of them are empty or very
just
low.
heels.
But if you know what we're doing at the moment, we're trying to transition a little bit into more of the independents. So we haven't got the room or the money, to be honest, to keep everything we've got stocked up. So we're kind of drinking the ones we've got now, and then once they start to empty out, we'll start to replace them with independent bottles.
So we might have less
So
on the bar,
it's
but we're hoping
gonna
it'll
die.
be
Yeah.
quality or just different stuff. I mean, there's a few standards that we're always going to have.
Yeah.
And obviously our infinity bottle is still going.
Yeah.
But we want it to just be unique
Yeah.
and constantly changing.
I
It's
think
like
the
evolved.
most we've ever had is probably 65.
Yeah.
But at the moment we're transitioning, so it's
Yeah.
kind of it's a tricky one, because like I say, we haven't got all the room in the world for whiskies, so this is pretty much it behind. There's a few shelves behind the camera you can't
And we
see
do
that.
have a huge amount of samples.
Yeah, so
We're not running out of whiskey
don't feel sorry for
anytime
us
soon.
by any stretch of the imagination. But it's just that at the moment we're kind of trying to figure out where we're going.
It's like an evolving bar.
It's a
Not a revolving door. It's evolving bar.
So it's kind of an ongoing transition. But at the moment it's about, I'd say, 45 bottles, probably 25 of those.
And we know where we're going, and then somebody will recommend something, and then we buy something completely left of field because we go, oh, that sounds really good. Oh, I like the idea of that. Or we'll see something on Amazon that's like one of our favourites on offer, and you just go, oh, okay.
So, 45 is the quick answer
right
to
now.
that question. So this one's kind of piggybacks on the answer of the last question, to be honest. It's more independent bottlers, and just to learn a little bit more about them, to be honest. We know very little when it comes to that, so we're trying to educate ourselves.
And you're doing a good job of helping us, because lots of people keep recommending stuff. So, like Scarabus, never had a Hunter Lane before ever.
The single no.
That's the little dog one.
The wee mongrel.
The wee mongrel.
So,
any of the single casks.
We're getting there. We're just kind of...
People recommend them, and we like the sound of them, so we buy them. So
we're getting there. But kind of the goals, that's the goals for 2021 with the bar.
Yeah.
With the channel, really, it's more just, it's like everyone's goal, really, in this time at the moment, to get out there and meet people.
Yeah.
Just, the members club, like I said before, it all started during lockdown, so we've not really had much of an opportunity to meet up with people. So we'd love to get that going, wouldn't we, and just get everyone together and have a good time, really. Yeah. So that's pretty much it, to be honest. And just, it's not a goal to grow New Dram Drinker as a channel, because that's up to you guys if you subscribe, kind of thing, and watch our videos. So we're not in control of that. We can only do what we can do and put the videos out.
But the community side
of it, we can build that. And that's what we've been doing. And hopefully, as soon as the doors are open and everything goes back to normal, we can all kind of congregate and do what it was set up to do in the first place.
Meet people and drink whiskey.
Meet people, drink whiskey and have a laugh.
Yeah.
Have fun. That's it. We did a video way back where on our first birthday, I think it was, where we watched our first videos separately and kind of compared them to what we do now. And don't get me wrong, they're cringy, and you watch them and you think, oh, my life. But you can definitely see the journey of how we've got hopefully better at it. More slick and more professional, and more kind of, the graphics are better and things like that. So I hope you agree with that. But yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to do, to be honest, because you can see where you've come, because it is hard sometimes. You kind of think that what you've been doing from the start has been the same, and
we worry you get bored. So we're worried that you watch the same video, just different whiskey. So that's why we change it a few times, don't we? We did some fun videos, and then we did
waterproof.
And we moved from the bar to the whiskey corner, and now we're back in the bar.
Because we're not naive enough to think that if we review a certain whiskey, there's probably hundreds of other channels that are reviewing that same whiskey, or there's 100 channels that you're watching that week that are reviewing a whiskey. And if we're all just doing the same thing, then it's got to get a little bit boring.
It's good to mix it up and move on a little bit.
We like to think that we'll change certain things up. We might just throw you a curveball one time, and it might just be something different enough to make you think, that's interesting.
The one thing we've come back to is us sitting together. We used to do that really early on in the beginning. But we found that it's kind of the banter. I'm just usually laughing at him, but it's that kind of, and we have difference of opinions, and I think that's really important when you're drinking whiskey, because you're not always going to agree with the person you're watching on screen. The fact that there's two people on screen not agreeing just gives you permission. It's okay. You can get what you get.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing that we've come back to. So comparing it, but actually noticing that was a good thing. So we've gone back to that. So
I think it's going back and comparing, and then realising what you can do better. And that's what we did.
And we're always trying to tweak it so it's a bit
evolve
more...
it, make it look a bit more,
we
better.
don't want you to get bored.
For me, I would say bourbon is hard to review for me because I'm not a massive fan of it. So I've always got a negative angle on it, which I try not to have because I'm trying to be as kind of objective as possible. But at the end of the day, this is you watching me and Nicky on our journey.
And people have preferences.
We're not
okay.
massive fans of bourbon, so it's hard. For one, I won't buy many bottles of it because I know I don't like it. So it's really hard to buy a bottle of whiskey just to review.
You would drink a rum every now and then. I tried rum.
But it's not something I would do other than whiskey as a channel or anything like that. And probably
we're not really into gin.
Red wine, to be honest. But
I don't mind a vodka and tonic every now and then, but that would be...
I would say red wine seems to have the legs for a channel.
Similar,
if you're going to do
similar
it.
notes.
Yeah, and you can kind of... I would definitely say our whiskey journey has helped with the wine journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we do kind of nose it and get some of the same notes. And then we'll do it and say, I've had that note in this whiskey before. And there's definitely a connection between the two.
You can pick out the fruits
and
the cherries or
a hell of a lot of the similar notes, to be honest. So,
but we don't really drink any other kind of spirits.
No, not really, not major. We'll have a lager every now and then if it's nice and sunny and we're gardening. But it's mainly just kind of whiskey, to be honest.
I'm going to say the amount of time Anthony spends on this. I'm talking like the actual videos, you know, a 20-minute video probably takes us 30 minutes, 40 minutes to record, and then it takes him 5 days to edit. Picking and going back to it and faffing around and finding graphics and all the rest of it. Then there's the Discord channel, which is every night, all night. Then there's the YouTube, like plugging it on Instagram, Twitter. Then there's the coming up with the new concepts. Then there's the amount of time he spends in front of the calendar because he's sorted out a Q&A from this distiller or this brand ambassador, which is amazing. It's lovely. And at the moment we've got the charity going, so you've got auctions and competitions.
They're not negative.
It's not negative. I'm just going to say
the time it takes.
The amount of time whiskey takes up in our life.
One thing I will say, if you're watching this considering doing a YouTube channel, be prepared. It is like a second job.
Yeah. It's like a second full-time job that you don't get paid for. Literally.
Because I've said this before, we run Dram Drinker as a non-profit as much as we can.
Like...
So it kind of, you know, anything we do and goes back in either to the charity or to the members club where we'll buy a whiskey and share it or something. But it
takes up
we make no money from it.
Much of your time.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can sit back and think, blimey, where did that week go?
Yeah.
You know, or,
there's a few
you know,
times
calendar and you think,
where I just think,
now.
I can't be doing with Instagram today. I need a few days off.
Yeah. I think everyone feels like that. Yeah. Everyone feels at some point where you just need a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Because you've gone so full on.
Yeah.
I'm just full to myself.
If we have a weekend,
things.
If we have a weekend where Ant will say, we've got nothing whiskey related Friday or Saturday night, I'm like, really? Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Then I'll find something.
Yeah. And it's not a negative in the sense of we enjoy it, but it literally, we have very little time for anything else.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just time consuming.
Takes up a lot of your time. Yeah.
And I think that will change because it's like with lockdown, and everyone's in. We're all looking for entertainment on like social media and kind of things to do in a Zoom or that kind of way. But once everything opens up, we'll all be out with our families, won't we? And things will kind of ease off a little bit. So as busy as it is now, I'm not under the illusion that it will be like this forever. Because I think
This is our only source of socialising, isn't it?
Not peter out, but just quieten down a touch. And I think
we couldn't socialise any other way, could we?
We'll all be getting together in the flesh rather than talking online. That's what we want. That's the whole kind of thing. So I think over time, it's just a strange time at the moment. But I think once it ends, we can look back and say we made the most of the time we were given. So yeah, there are negatives, but they're negative positives, if you know what I mean. Let you into this because
what do I predict? I think it could evolve again, in the sense that we are going to hopefully do meetups, go to more distilleries, which is kind of where we started. We did distillery tours and things like that. Obviously, we haven't done those for 2 years. A year, maybe. It would be good to be able to mix it up and do some meetups and things like that. Channel-wise, I don't know. Just more whiskey. All of the whiskey that we haven't tried so far. So we hope that you enjoyed that little Q&A.
Was it a little Q&A? I think it was
probably
big
quite a long
Q&A
one,
by the end of it.
There was a lot of questions.
There was more than that. We could have gone on for twice as long,
The
to be honest.
Certified Originals wanted to know a lot of stuff.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
We hope we answered them honestly and as you expected us to. Yes.
And during this whole thing, you've heard us talk about the Certified Originals kind of over and over. So if you don't know what it is our members
Have
club.
you been?
It's free to join.
Yes.
There's a Discord chat that you get enrolled into once you sign
All the fun
up.
happens there.
That's where we arrange all of our kind of tastings, our Q&As, our bottle shares that we do.
It's where all the banter happens.
Where all the fun happens. It's
the challenges.
A hell of a lot of stuff happens within the Discord that then kind of comes outwards onto social media that you'll see. But if you want to be in at the ground level, sign up to be a Certified Original. You'll have seen the banner along the bottom throughout this video of where to go to sign up. So do that. Trust me, it's a great community for all levels. If you're just new to whiskey, if you're higher up in the levels to whiskey, there's people talking about all kinds of things, not just whiskey as well, lots of different topics going on. You can even arrange your own tastings and events in our Discord. It's not just closed off to us doing things. You're more than welcome to come in and kind of have a chat with us, let us know things that you want to do. So it's as much your place as it is ours. So please just give it a try. You know, it doesn't cost anything. You'll get more out of it than it costs you to put in, let's put it that way. So thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
It's been a pleasure. We hope you know a little bit more about us now. Know where we kind of stand and what our kind of thoughts are on new Dram Drinker and things like that and going on to the future. So thank you for watching and we'll see you again next week. See you guys.